Okay, so today for word problems, we're looking at percent problems, we'll look at distance problems, and we're going to look at cost problems. So percent, it's another way of solving a ratio question where one component of a ratio is always going to be 100%. So for example, our first example, Jared correctly answered 48 questions on an exam that had 75 questions. What was his percentage? So you can set this up as a ratio question, but you probably already know how to calculate your percent if you have a test or whatever. So let's just show this as a ratio. So for example, if he got 75 correct, that is 100%. Okay, and then he got 48 correct. And we have to figure out what is that percent. All right, so we can just go 48 times 100 divide by 75 to figure that out. So just using cross multiplication, we're just doing 48 times 100 and then dividing it by 75. All right, and because the 100% is already there, our answer is already going to be in percent, so it's 64%. All right, and you probably already know how to do this other ways. So for example, you already know that you could just go 48 divided by 75, multiply it by 100, just directly like this to also give you your 64%. All right, so looking at our next example, we know that the price of a new car is $22,500. A down payment is required of $6,750 to purchase this car. What percent is this of the regular price? So all we're going to do, we can just take our $6,750 and we can just divide that by 22,500. So put that into the calculator. And then multiply it by 100 to put it into percent, and we get our 30%. All right, so a 30% down payment is required. So our next type here, if a person's salary is increased to $540 per week from $480 per week, what is the percent increase? So for a question like this, you can just take your new, subtract it from the old, and then divide it by old, and then multiply by 100%. All right, so the new salary is $540, and the old salary was $480, and then we just divide it by the old salary, which was $480. All right, and then we just make sure we do that subtraction first. Okay, so 540 minus 480, we get 60. Divide that by 480, we get 0.125. We lastly just have to multiply that by 100 to put it into percent. So multiply that by 100 and we get 12.5%. All right, so I just have to show here that I did multiply by 100. Next example, Ben received a mark of 65% on his multiple choice science exam. How many did he get correct if there were 240 questions on this exam? All right, so basically for a question like this, it's 65% of 240. So you just take your 65% and convert it to fraction, or divide by 100, so 65% divided by 100, and you'll put it into its decimal form, so we get 0.65, and you're just going to multiply it by the total number of questions, 240 questions, that's a lot of questions, and put that in the calculator, and he got 156 correct. All right, so the question was, how many did he correct? If there were 240 questions on this exam, so your sentence would say he got 156 correct. So next we're looking at distance problems. So we can calculate the distance traveled by a person, a plane, a car, a train, so on, or the time it took to cover this distance, or we can also solve for the rate at which it was traveling by using a ratio. But there is a formula we can use. There's a formula called D equals RT. So D is for distance, R is the rate, and then T stands for time. All right, so let's look at both methods here. How many kilometers can Brian fly in 3 hours if he flies at a rate of 90 kilometers per hour? Okay, so setting this up as a ratio, we can set it up like a couple ways, but we can set it up this way. It's 90 kilometers in 1 hour. And then how many kilometers, so that's what we're solving for, can he fly in 3 hours? All right, so we're solving for the x here. So you can again use cross multiplication. So 90 times 3 and divide it by the 1. All right, so that gives me 270 kilometers. That is correct. All right, and then always, end with your sentence. So Brian can fly 270 kilometers in 3 hours. So here we're using the formula, D equals RT. So keep in mind D is distance, R is rate, and T is time. So in this case, we are trying to solve for D. So D is what we don't know. The rate is 90 kilometers per hour. And the time is 3 hours. All right, so we can just list out all our information here, and now we can put it all into our equation. So 90 times 3, our distance is 270 kilometers. So what is the rate of speed of a bus if it travels 920 kilometers in 8 hours? So we'll list out what we're trying to find here. So we'll use D equals RT, and our D is 920 kilometers. The rate is what we don't know, and our time is 8 hours. All right, so we can go ahead and plug this into our formula. So distance is 920 kilometers. Rate, we don't know, we'll leave it as R, and our time is 8 hours. All right, to solve for R, all we need to do is divide by 8 both sides. That'll leave us with R. So R is equal to 920 divided by 8. So just put that into the calculator. And I get 115, and it is the rate, so 115 kilometers per hour. All right, so your last part of this would just be to write out your sentence. So the rate of speed is 115 kilometers per hour. How many kilometers can Ernie walk in 7.2 hours if he walks at a rate of 8.5 kilometers per hour? This time we are solving for distance. So distance is what we need to find. Our rate is 8.5 kilometers per hour, and our time is 7.2 hours. Okay, so we're just using our formula method, so D equals RT. So D is equal to R, which is 8.5, and then H, which is 7.2. Okay, so you just got to put that in the calculator. And I get 61.2 kilometers. Okay, so for this question, how many minutes does it take a van to travel 665 kilometers if its rate of speed is 95 kilometers per hour? So let's just list out everything we need to know for D equals RT. So D, we're given is 665 kilometers. The rate we are given is 95 kilometers per hour. We do have to solve for time. That is what we are solving for. But once we get our answer in hours, we'll just convert it into minutes. All right, so putting this into the formula, D is 665, the rate is 95, and then T is what we are solving for. All right, so we'll just divide by 95 both sides. To solve for T. All right, and that gives me my T, which is time, is 7 hours. So the only thing we have to do now is convert this into minutes. So we know that 1 hour, so we know 1 hour has 60 minutes. Okay, and then 7 hours is X amount of minutes. All right, so just cross multiplying. X is 60 times 7 divided by 1. X is just going to be 420 minutes. All right, so lastly would just be your sentence. How many minutes does it take? Your answer should say the van would take 420 minutes. Okay, so cost problems are next. So ratio or a formula can be used here. We have C equals NP to calculate the cost. C represents cost. N represents number of items purchased. And then P is the price of each item if a number of the same type of articles are purchased. So for example, a set of 4 tires were purchased at $74.95 per tire. How much money was spent to purchase all 4 tires? So if you were using the ratio method, we know that 1 tire is equal to $74.95. What about 4 tires? That would be equal to, that's what we're trying to solve for. So X would be equal to 4 times $74.95 divided by 1. So $74.95 times 4, and then divide by 1, which doesn't really change anything. I'll just show that. And then that gives me a total cost of $299.80. All right, if we were looking at the formula method, which is C equals NP, we're looking for cost. So the number of items purchased, that is 4. And then the price of each item, that's $74.95. All right, so just $74.95 times 4, which is $299.80 for 4 tires. All right, let's go over this next question. So will $200 be enough to purchase a dozen hockey sticks if each stick retails for $19.95? So we just have to check to see what the price would be for 12 of these hockey sticks. So the cost, so 12 times 1995. So the total cost comes to $239.40. So $200 is what you have. So it wouldn't be enough to purchase a dozen hockey sticks. All right, so you would just say, no, that is not enough. To purchase a dozen hockey sticks. All right, so we'll stop there for today. And just to go back to the main page here, to just show that you're doing 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, every other odd for homework. And I'll take questions now.